We are live. Hey, good day, everybody. How you doing? Thank you for joining in. Just in case you're joining me for the very first time, I'm your host, the one they call Brian Glaze Gibbs. And joining me today, you have Dr. Elisa, you have Ms. Diara, and you know what? Here it is. Anytime you are blessed,
His blessing is going a long way, everyone. So he's gotten caught up in the blessing of it. So let's continue to bless this channel. We can't hear him, but we know he's into the blessing.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can because like you literally both like blessed after like blessing.
Okay. Hey, but like I said, but listen, ladies, sit back and think about it. Even right now, we've been having some of the conversation off, like I say, in your channel. And what I love is this, man, real talk. When you start talking about, relationship, when you start talking about fashion, when we start talking about, even right now, one of the subject matter we just was talking about was Kevin Samuel. May his soul rest in peace and his spirit be lifted. And with him, it's a lot of things that I used to see and glance and get bits and pieces of it. But to me, with me, like with him, as far as anybody from a man standpoint, I think we could have gotten like his dress attire, how to dress properly for certain occasion. That's what I look at. Anytime I can learn certain things about the GQ-ness or, more or less right now is how to dress, business casual, how to dress, on business attire, black tie affair, different things. I like that. But all the other stuff as far as him bashing women or, basically right now expressing himself, you know what? To me, sometimes we all can agree to disagree. So it's a lot of things right now is I didn't really pay that no mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Samuels is a very interesting, he was a very interesting and dynamic sort of influencer. And we know that he used certain, what he considered deficits in women to, sort of build his platform. And, many people argue whether or not was it truth in his statements or was it around his delivery. uh you know both are, can be argued that, yeah, even if there's truth, it's also about the delivery. Was it that, people, he used obesity a lot and would ask people their measurements and had like this whole sort of like formula. I don't know what evidence he used to prove that formula works, but it was his formula. He used it, and seemingly people would call in to get, his insight around kind of like measuring them up for the potential for a partner. And he would talk about like, yo, you're 5'3" and 220 pounds, like you really need to start with losing some weight. So the question for me is, yeah, weight loss is important for health reasons, but he was really dealing with, I think, aesthetics. I didn't follow him much, but it's not about, losing weight in order to please other people. So, that's where I kind of draw the line with his kind of like theory of change.
Okay. But you know what? Even right now, to me, he had a hell of a following. And like I tell you, his opinion, he's very opinionated. And even with that being said, it's to me, I was hearing once he died, like people was happy, chanted on, and to me, I think it became a bit much because once again, we came up in an environment, and right now, Ms. DR, you probably way too young to remember this. I'm 91 and a half years old. So, but I remember it was a saying, sticks and stone may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. So even though he had a large platform and he had like a lot of women calling in, and right now is in his little sneaky little way, he should try to belittle them. And to me, it's like right now where we come from, when somebody telling you or saying certain things that you don't agree with, what you're going to hear? Click. What you're going to hear. Right. So it's like, to me, like right now is everybody's entitled to their opinion and to.
And actually, if I necessarily did not follow him as much, but I just believe in some of the things that he did, speak upon about women. to me was, it was horrible. At the end of the day, women at the end of the day, we do still battle with insecurities and low self-esteem. And then when you have comments that are said to that, it also leads, like, for example, through mental health, you create certain doubt on yourself. When you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you're like, damn, do I really look this way? Do I not please this type of crowd? Or do I not like, am I not liked? And, you start putting on things and doing certain things to make a great appearance to everyone else's eyes, but then you start forgetting about yourself. And that, some of the things that he has said, I did not agree on at all.
Okay. And like I say, once again, it's like some of the things sometimes it all depends upon the thumbnail, like what the message say. So basically, as I'm listening to it, it's like whether I'm a tune in or not. And sometimes, like a lot of times, people don't understand when you have your own platform, you really don't have time to, like dig in and listen and investigate. You don't. But once again, like I knew he had a hell of a platform. I knew he was on Vlad TV. I knew right now he did something with Tasha K. And like I said, the guy had like 1 million people subscribe to his platform. So, brother, like I say, obviously, whatever formula that he was utilizing, he was doing something right, because even if people just following him, just to listen to him bashing like women, and I don't agree with that, because once again, like I say, I'm a professional mama boy. So a lot of stuff right now, like, like people are who they are. And right now, probably he was like that. What was a book called? Man is from Venus and woman is from Mars, or man is from, whatever. But they start speaking about women, like, sometimes men can hate women.
When he gets passionate, we lose him a little bit.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you.
Okay.
Dr.
So yeah,
Elisa, she froze.
I got to calm down. When I get passionate, I get lose it. But even with that being said, like they say, man is from Mars and women's from Venus. And to me, some guys hate women because of the relationship that they have with their own mother. So
Right.
automatically, they take it out on other women, because I don't agree with that. But that's normally how it is.
She froze?
No, I think she probably went to the other platform, going upstairs, go to the computer.
Yeah.
Hmm? Like somebody put ND, rest in power to Kevin. His opinion was a double-edged sword. Take a second to break it, forever fix it, lose, lose. Man, T River. Yeah, Glaze, Dr. Lisa, I think y'all need to pull over from a firefight experience. Please pull over. Oh, okay. So basically right now, don't be on, I guess he said don't go live and be driving. You know what I'm saying? Oh man. Hey,
Dr. Lisa is seeing patients, so she has to prioritize, but she'll be right with you. Thank you for
okay.
that, though. We're trying to
Okay.
multitask. Thank
That's
you.
what they say. She's driving while live streaming, trying to look pretty. That ain't going in well, you know. Hey, but like I said, right now, even Miss DR, here it is. Like, look at you, a video vixen. To me, like like right now is like being away, doing time, or even right now when you see all these rap videos and things of that nature, and see all the beautiful women's, and you happen to be one of the top one back in doing that. And like right now, it's like how did you became a video vixen?
It's funny. It was just a small story. I picked up a gig to be a model for Apple Bottoms back in
Okay.
the day. I think I was like 17, turning 18. And I was in Times Square. TLC, it was the last day that TLC, they were doing their last show. And, Nelly had performed, and, it was a great performance. And, I went home, and I was on the way to take the subway home. And along the way, I met the wonderful Jazzy Belle. And she goes, "You're so pretty," and we just started talking. And she goes, "Here's my number," and we exchanged numbers. And she goes, "I think you should model and stuff like that." And long story short, she introduced me to K Slay, and ever since then, well, everything is a history. K Slay, rest in peace, and Jazzy Belle, they guided me to the right direction. And I done. They helped me go through magazine covers, and after that, I started booking videos and whatnot. So it was, and then after that, I joined radio with K Slay on Hot 97 and Straight 45, and that was a good experience. And I'm always grateful for K. He's not here no longer, but I always keep him in my heart. He's 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 one of my greatest mentors. I actually looked at him up. I looked at him at like a father figure to me. I'm lucky enough to have him in my at that time in my life. And, and even if when I left the industry, we'll still, we will keep in contact and call each other, and be like, "How you doing, Kay?" He goes, "Same old shit." He's not just, he's like, "Stay out of trouble," and he always asks me how I'm doing, and we always had a great relationship, and and I'm actually grateful for that, because some of the girls in the industry right now, or even before then, didn't have the proper guidance, and I was lucky enough to have that guidance, and sometimes I remember getting into arguments because at the end of the day I still wanted to do what I wanted to do, and and Kay would be upset. He goes, "No, you can't do this because this is the outcome for this," but I was very fortunate enough to have that in my life.
Somebody put up there, indeed, condolence to Ms. Diara. I know the great Kay Slade was a dear friend of hers. Peace and love. And you know what? Like, it's strange because when I went away, it's a lot of things that I missed out of. And even with Kay Slade, like, I hear a lot about him. But one of the things I hear about him, and like even if you listen to some of the people that pay tribute to his life, at his service, and everything was stuck out was like, why did they call him the drama king? He was a drama king.
Drama king in the building.
He
No, he
would.
wasn't really much of a drama. No, he was a straightforward dude. That's what it was. He always give it to you how it is, whether you like it or not. Sometimes you'll get mad at him for like 10 minutes, but you be like, you sit down, you're like, damn, he was right about it.
Okay. And you know what? Like the crazy thing about that is this. Like I said, I never met him personally, but I'm in close contact with the twins, the Twin Tower. Shout
Yeah,
out to the Twin Tower, his brothers.
yeah.
Right now they twins, and to me, those guys right now is like unbelievable because those brothers like about 6'9". And every time you look around, like how I discovered them is one time they was doing a podcast, I think with Sub Zero. And right now is they gave me a shout out and was speaking about what I was doing with my YouTube platform, how I changed my life around, and how I was trying to give the message out there to the youth. So here it is. For some reason, somebody sent that to me, and I stumbled upon them, and I'm scratching my head because who these guys? And then when you start following them, seeing that they was on the Ice and Coco show, and these guys actually like 6'9" rappers, and then right now they happen to be, saying on the late DJ K Slade brother, it's like, man, it's like a small world. So anyway, like shout out to the Twin Tower, and may K Slade slow rest in peace and the spirit be lifted, because once again, like a lot of times people don't understand like how we are being judged. And to me, right now is anytime somebody can have a service, a funeral, whatever, and you have so many different people from every walk of life and come and pay a hell of a tribute, that speak volume. See, like to me, like I already know, man. Hey, when it's my time, I listen, this I ain't even worrying about that because to me, because of my past, you got a lot of people going to talk trash or whatever, but for a lot of people to come together and speak with love and human compassion, like I said right now, that was deep. That was very powerful.
Yeah.
You know,
You okay, Diana? Because I know
I-
how
yeah,
close
I
you and
don't
Kay
know.
was. I mean, I've spent time around you guys, and I know how much he cared for you and tried to guide you, and the many arguments and fights we always have with you. You know, as you was going through in this business or coming through in this business, and so I know you're like you probably need a moment.
Yeah,
But I think that brings us to a really interesting point. How an older brother can provide so much guidance and support and set an example for what a young woman should look for in a man. And although people would say, well, he had his Straight Stunting magazine and Diana was in it when she was young, and I'm talking young, like 19, 20 years old. Like, was he, in many ways trying to, sort of manipulate young girls and things like that? And I feel like, on the other hand, he was really allowing them to express themselves in the way that they wanted to, and he had a vehicle and a space for them to do that. I think all of the women who have worked with Kay, ultimately chose to be in the magazine. They wanted
Like,
the exposure, the opportunity to.
it was not even
um,
just exposure, and like, he taught us, the game.
Diana, speak up a little bit more. You know how
I said,
soft
hello.
your voice.
I said it's not. It wasn't just that. It was also he taught us. He also helped all these women. You know in this in this platform. As being a video vexus, and being a woman of color, women in shapes and sizes. It gave us a space to where we open. You know we were able to do what we wanted, and as well, like, with a future behind it, because not only we were in magazines, but he'll help us put money in our pocket where we'll have parties, and before we walk into a party, he'll give us our cut, to host a party, or he'll help teach us about business. He'll say, you'll always remember, he's like, Diara, he goes, you can be here right now. He said, by the time you're 60, you ain't gonna look that good. I'll tell you that much. That's what he tell me.
Like, to kind of stack your money now, like we should do, like, every day, right? Like, in any walk of life, right?
It's like he'll teach you, and it's not like most people that you come across, they'll use you, and just, and then when they use it, you're done. No, like, he'll tell you, say, listen, this is the platform. Use it. Use this platform to get where you need to get to. Either creating your business, going to school. Paying for your school, because a lot of people didn't know that. But also helped me, like, being in his magazines helped me pay for my rent. I paid for my college. Things like that. Like, nobody never knew that, and everybody just judged you because, excuse my language, but your ass is on the cover. I'm like, no, there's always a reason behind it. You know, and that's one thing that Kay always taught all of us was, one, keep your dignity, and two, always have a backup. Always have a backup. You know,
Right.
and Auntie Lisa, Dr. Lisa, you know how many times like we be on the phone and you're like, oh my gosh, she doesn't listen, And now I miss those days, and like, sometimes like I like till now,
Yeah,
I can
I
come
miss him
advice,
too.
and he always gave me the greatest advice ever. Always.
He would be like, if Doc can't get through to you, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll do my best. But Diana is her own woman, and she's going to do what Diana wants to do, and that's what she did. And I think we always felt that Diana was strong enough to kind of handle it. But I also feel, on the other hand, that no matter what the situation is, women by nature are always looking, particularly women who are, interested in a heterosexual relationship, are always looking for the validation of a man, and so what does that mean? And so I feel that her being in, like, all of these, like, outlets, and being a part of that urban experience for women of color, that of all shapes and sizes, also exposed her to a lot of people that didn't necessarily mean her any good, and she had to go through that process, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But yeah, just I shout outs to K Slay, and may he rest in peace.
And you know what? As I'm listening to, like, Miss DR, as you speak in regards to that, and a lot of times people do not understand that you cannot make it in this world alone.
No.
And when you trying to, like, even when I started this YouTube platform, and to me, shout out, I'm near 62,000 subscribers, 15,000 people on IG, and people don't understand, like, without the proper help, the guidance, the direction. Like even right now, like marketing is everything. So even as I'm listening to you, as you told me like how you met this young lady, and right now at the train station you was leaving, 17 years old, and how what's her name?
Jazzy Bell.
Jazzy Bell, and then she introduced you to K Slade. And to me, like it's like you happen to just be in the right place at the right time. Because once again, I'm the type right now, being 91 and a half, know nothing about marketing. I'm I'm texting, emailing, and try, please help me, please help me, please help me, please help me. And what I'm saying is by you being in the right place at the right time, guess what? You was getting a hell of a lesson. And not only that, because a lot of times what people look at, they look at, men and women relationship. The first thing they think when a man or woman, young or old, you talking to these people is something sexual involved. And that's not always the case. So what you got is he took you under the wing as if you was his daughter, if you were his little sister. And he right now, and a lot of people, look what he did. He took you in the wing and tried to show you the rope from his standpoint. Look, these are the things that you need to do. This is why. And not only that, pay for college, pay for this, pay for that. Be prepared for that word we call the future. And a lot of people didn't even have a person like that. And we look for that each and every day. So to me, like you just taught me something within a brief period of time that I'm like, wow, I'm amazed. And like right now, it's like once again, shout out to, I'm saying, the late great, I'm saying DJ K Slade.
Right. Absolutely. I think I want to address Street Gainer. Is that how you say it?
Mhm.
Glaze, you the man, bro. Yes, Glaze, right? Miss DR, stay strong. That's absolutely true. And Dr. Elisa, he's coming for me. It's fine. You made a bad decision to drive while streaming. I can't respect that. Please love on me. Please love on me because I was trying to multitask. I can be here with you. And yes, I apologize. I humbly apologize because all I want to do is be here with you, Street Gainer. Is that fine? I apologize. Thank you so much. I will not do that again. Per your directive. Thank you so much.
And you know what? Look at that. And right now is multitasking. To
Yes,
me,
a
I
lot.
think social media, the cell phone, I think all that stuff is a blessing and a curse. Because
Yeah,
once again, a lot
right.
of times when we get into fender bender or
Yeah,
anything go wrong, it's like we're distracted. Like if
that's
we don't
true.
have those cell phones doing this, or we're not, because once again, don't get me wrong, that cell phone is social media and the cell phone is more addicted than drugs. They're more addicted than crack will ever be. More powerful because everybody is indulged.
One that I believe now, now at this age group, that I'm in, um, everyone forgot to sit at a dinner table and
Mm-hmm.
actually have a conversation. And and sometimes to me I get frustrated, like if you're on a date or or you're with your friends, like you don't see these people most of the time. Even that last dinner, you don't never know if this that's the last time you might see that person. Everyone is on their phones, and everyone, it's even with communication now. Nobody comes and shows up in your house. They're like, hey, let's have a communication. Let's talk about this. No, you send groups of text message, and this is how we communicate, and this is how we're gonna figure it out. Even with breakups, oh, I broke up with you. We're moving on. Like,
Broke up over text.
what is
I'm
this?
sorry, it's over. It's over.
And why?
Crazy. That's crazy. We was over.
Like, bye, thank you. Okay, like no.
Right. I know. I know. We've
And it's
lost that human
you
connection.
lost a
We've
human connection. Like
right.
it's you know, and it's like it's horrible. Like even I see now like mothers with kids, like the way their kids are crying, and instead of giving that attention, they give them an iPad. They think that's gonna fix it.
I'll sit down.
And then they catch a tantrum, and you don't even know why this kid has a tantrum. But no, here's an iPad. Go watch, cartoons.
Yeah.
It's
And I think that's also happening, like you said, in like even marriages. After a while, people start to sort of, ignore one another and take each other for granted, and the phone becomes their priority. There's no real communication around how to sort of find time and designate time for our relationship relationship, which should be your number one priority, because a house divided cannot stand. So if you're dividing your time with the, social media for 6 hours a day, how are you really developing and growing within your relationship and building your household?
And I've been guilty of that. Sometime going out to dinner with the wife, or even right now when separation, divorce, and you go on dates. And I remember like one time this doctor told me on a date, about my phone. So we had a dinner date, and I'm always looking at different things. And you know what? When she said that, it struck. Wow, like my wife used to tell me the same thing. So once again, meaning it's a problem. And a lot of times people do not understand, like you hear things, but if you don't address them, then what? Because once again, here it is, two totally different individuals, never met each other, from two totally different walk of life, telling you the same thing, that when you out and about or you on a date, you have to learn how to get back to the basic and giving people quality time. And that's why I say with these electronic, with the social media, if we do not utilize it right, correctly, guess what? It can be a curse. It can be very detrimental.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
That's
it can be.
now it's just
Absolutely.
you can't even go out and enjoy your dinner.
No, no,
No,
you can't enjoy anything because you're
no.
not really focusing on that person. You're
And
not focusing
when
on
it
them at
shows
all.
as a female perspective, shows like, okay, I don't think you because it's either swiping on Instagram and looking at what other girls are wearing on Instagram,
Right.
pretty much,
Yeah,
It's like it's ruined. Like exactly, social media and cell phones have ruined relationships. It is true.
it's true.
So
It's
true.
true.
Mhm.
It's absolutely true. Yeah.
So if you sit back and think about now, and so much issue that we can discuss, and so many different things that we can address, and you know what? It's like you don't even really know where to start from. Because
Hmm.
when we start talking about the drill music, and we start talking about when hip hop, when did hip hop turn violence? When we was coming up, hip hop was strictly for what? Fun, having a
Right.
good time, dancing, rhyming, competition. Now it's like you watching rappers being laid down by the wayside because of what? So there's so much of different things like at this present time, like we can discuss. And to
Mhm.
me, like, like even right now, we can stay on the social media for days. And guess what? We will not even be able to touch the core of it. But once again, like I say, ladies, to me, I'm just thankful to have like both of y'all here. And right now, what we plan on doing, folks, we plan on going on different each other platform. Right now you're gonna see me right now on Ms. Diara platform. You're gonna see me on, I'm saying, Dr. Elisa platform. What we're gonna do is right now is like trying to, have real talk, not on the platform yelling, screaming, cursing, belittling people, or making people feel down. That's not what it's all about. Well, we want people when they turn on to us, they're gonna get encouragement. They're gonna get saying enlightenment. They're gonna get positivity. They're gonna get like you got a question you wanted to answer. We're gonna try to help you to the best of our ability because guess what? We have many different years of experience, different walk of life, but we're here to how do we get back? How do we how do we heal the people in our community?
Right.
Very true.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's a great, like, kind of segue to sort of like relationship decisions. How do we make the choices that will stand the test of time, like that are sustainable? How do we do that? Like, how do we wean out the good from the bad? You know, the real ones from the fake ones, whatever they say,
You can never
right?
tell nowadays.
The real ones from the fake ones.
If
Like,
you're,
how do we
you're not your real
weed them
friend.
out? Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but a lot of stuff stem from like to me, like even what we doing is like, just talk, having real talk, real conversation. And like I told you beforehand, like I like it even with the relationship tip. As far as right now is why do people pretend? Right now, if I like you and you like me, why do I have to pretend? Why can't I put all my cards on the table and let you know this is who I am? You know what? Listen, I have a past. Okay, let he or she go out, sin, cast the first stone. I did time. Right now, I got bad credit. I'm jobless, I'm home, whatever your situation may be. It's like put everything on the table, opposed to me, going to my friend's house. Hey, let me borrow you a couple of outfit, man. I'm about to date this girl. I'm trying to trick her to thinking I'm more than what I am, man. Hey, let me borrow your car. I'm just being honest. Like,
Borrow your car?
let me borrow your car, man. Like,
Let me borrow your mattress for a second.
do people ask like during the early part of a courtship or do people even court? That's one thing. Do they even court? Do they get to know each other? Do they ask any questions about the person? Do they know their mental health? Do they know their physical health? Do they know their family situation? Is it just a hookup society now? Is it really planning to build your family, your community, right? And your race?
The issue with that now is what we have is all these dating sites that we have. Why would you meet at a girl at a restaurant, or meet someone mutually through a friend and start dating if you could swipe and have sex with someone that same night, So that value has gone. There are a few men that actually, are, old school, they do want to date a girl, but sometimes, if they have all this access, to do so, why they think they're
going to buy a cow when you can get the milk for free?
Right.
Is that it?
So it kind of like frustrates the women that actually, they do want to have a date. They do want to treat them well. They do want someone, who they want to create a family with. They do want to have kids, but it's so impossible. And that's all, with you have Tinder and all these extra things that I don't know what's out now, but that you even feel as a woman like, why do I waste my time? Like, why do I want to talk to anyone? Why do I want to date?
Well, why do you think women are willing to just have such a low threshold for standards in selection of a partner?
Well, I think it's because what we're now looking at in society, because we think it's acceptable. You feel like if we accept this, he's gonna go to somebody else who's gonna accept the same thing, and then I'll lose that person.
You know what? You got some people shining in. You got E. He said the lack a emotional maturity and ability to express themselves. Selfishness is happening too much. Then I like what this brother came along and say on Concrete Chronicle podcast. If the relationship or friendship start with a lie, it would end with a lie. I think that is so profound.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's excellent.
But even as you listen in, and I'm seeing people shining in, it's like right now, where you'd be surprised. So that is a topic. That is something that right now where it's like we can talk about. And I like that because they shining in. Can y'all see that one right there?
Oh yeah, that's true. You can never show all your cards on all people. Wait while you see where you stand with them. Which is true, though.
He is right. I mean, you need to court people. You need to get to know them. Like, the exchange of energy is powerful. And if people are encountering individuals that are attributing or contributing to them feeling low self-esteem, reducing their confidence level, not pushing them to be the best that they can be, then yeah, that's absolutely going to happen. People aren't taking their time to get to know someone because you don't know what someone's past is like, and you need to ask them some questions. And I feel like women aren't asking as many questions as they should of individuals that they encounter.
Not just women, the guys, same thing. We're not doing that. And, to me, sometimes like, being older now and listening to these guys, you're around these younger guys and they talking. And, and some of the things that they're saying are, this young lady ain't no good. She's a bum, this and that, and all this other stuff. Or even you hear some of the young ladies saying, this guy ain't no good, or he's this and that. And then next thing you know, you just got finished saying this guy was no good. You just got finished saying this young lady was no good. You saying this and you keep talking about it. Then next thing you know, you're having a baby together. I'm confused about that.
Yeah, that's kind of
because to me, if you saying this and that's how you feeling, but then again you turn around, still lay with this young man, lay with this young woman, and you produce a child, that's disaster. You set yourself up for that. And I don't get it. And to me, it's like trying to get people to stop thinking with the wrong head. It's like right now where it's like we get so, we get our lust, desire. So here it is right now. We're not thinking with the big, we thinking, no, we
Yeah.
got to be smart at all times. You got to be in control of that situation from the beginning to the middle to the end. And when we talk about with the relationship right now, to me, I am a very picky, choosy individual, and it had to be certain standards. It's like right now is, I don't know. It's like desperate people to me do desperate things, and we have to get back to the basics, like you say. If I started off opening the door for you, I better continue to open the door for you.
Mhm. But how many people aren't that chivalry anymore? Like that isn't even required. Women are so accustomed for doing for self. And that's the other thing. Like, how do we sort of embrace our vulnerability and allow men to do those things and actually have an expectation for it? Like when I was coming up, Glaze, it was a different sort of expectation of men. And I feel like we were treated different. Like all of my friends own homes and everyone had, actually went off to like complete some level of education. Like it was like almost a requirement to be like a partner to even a man of the streets. Like that was like a requirement, like a good girl, which leads us to like, why do good girls like bad boys? Which is, that's another thing.
Well, I also what I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of friends of mine. When it comes to that, I also feel like men stopped becoming men, or it's because women are now alphas, and they feel that they always feel that because us as women, strong women, they're all afraid that we can get our things together, we don't need you, so they feel like, okay, cool, so if you don't need me, then why am I here for to be in your life? And that's another situation that we go through as women. Doesn't mean because we're strong women and we're women in power, why does it have to stop for a man to be a man? Because at the end of the day, we still need a support system. We still need someone there to
right. We're better together.
Absolutely. Being there for us, even at an emotional state.
Even as I started off, everybody needs somebody. And even right now, understanding, because I went through that situation, I consider myself to be an alpha male. Mm-hmm. And my wife is an alpha female. So right now, when you got two alpha, going at it, and guess what? You have to find a happy medium. And right now is we went through hell. Like back, break up, back together. But it's like now learning to understand, because a lot of times right now is you can run from something and then you run somewhere else and then you like, man, you thought you had it bad, or you think, but the grass is not green on the other side, and you got to learn how to, like something that I was listening to not too long ago on Omar Epps. He was on the Breakfast Club and he did an interview with Charlamagne the God, and something that he said, like with him and his wife, when they got into a disagreement, when they got together, he said right now is we say from the very beginning that separation, divorce is off the table. That's not even an option. So it doesn't matter what you and I may go through in this relationship. We better figure it out because neither one of us is going nowhere. And these days in time, I think everybody's so quick to run for every little thing. Whereas if you take the time and invest and whatever you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it. So even with that being said, I'm going to go to my man, established 1978. He say, Ms. Diara is still gorgeous. Great topic. Great topic, by the way. And here it is, Concrete Chronicle Podcast. Can you read that? Can one of y'all read that?
Weak men are afraid of alpha women because they are not used to a woman taking the lead. It's okay for your women to take the lead as long as the lead can be agreed upon at the same time.
I agree. Because once again, you know what? Everybody got to understand their strength and their weakness. Yeah. Right now is to me, if we're partners, your strength might be my weakness and vice versa. That's how we continue to build together. We can't get caught up into, well, I'm the man. I'm a real man. on, man. That's so old fashioned. That's how it used to be. That's not how it is no more. It's like, what about equality? What about partnership? What about building together? Come on.
Well, is there really equality in relationships?
It should be.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in practice, is there really equality in relationships?
In mine at this present time, I say yes. I can't
Mm-hmm.
speak for anybody else. Only day I can speak for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it should be.
Well, there are certain expectations for men. Let's use certain things that are really low threshold and mundane, like taking out the trash or, you know, doing certain types of outdoor labor and things like that. Is that some men will say, well, you are an alpha female. Why don't you just drag the garbage cans up to the corner or do whatever it is that needs to be done? You have women painting and doing all sorts of things in the house because they're very handy. And then, but I wonder if women look at men when they're doing that as weak, when like if the woman is doing it, are they then interpreting them doing it as the man is weak if he's allowing her to do it?
You know what? Okay, like with that, I wash dishes. I love washing dishes. You know, my wife would get on the lawnmower and cut grass. When I came on today, that's what she was on the lawnmower cutting grass. So what I'm saying is, it's like you be surprised. Like we work hand in hand. So,
Mm.
but everybody can think, well, that's a man job, but that's a woman job. The bottom line, that's all of our job, as long as it get done.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, even right now, if I get up or whatever and I'm ironing clothes, don't think I think she iron better than me, but she'll say, "Babe, can you iron this for me?" Why not? So those are things, but when we are washing clothes, it doesn't matter. Cleaning up. Don't get me wrong. Certain things she can do better as far as she feel like, hey, look, when it comes down to cleaning, your standard, my standard. Hey, look, I feel I do a great job, but the difference is she feels she do a better job.
Well, so then I guess what you're saying is that the expectations need to be established early on in the relationship so that we can manage those expectations. So without communication, you're unable to even understand what the expectation is or understand what your weaknesses versus my strengths. We haven't established that yet if we don't communicate.
And,
But right
and
now, like even relationships, it's hard to communicate because even if you wind up having that communication, it looks at a point of view where nobody understands where you're coming from, or whatever comes out of your mouth, you're judged upon, or
Right.
you don't look eye to eye for the same situation that you're looking for to communicate. So it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes you just don't see eye to eye in certain things, and even as much you explain, your feelings towards certain things, like it still goes one ear and out the other.
So if that's the case, then that is a way of also self-eliminating, right? So if a person is unable to communicate their expectations for the relationship, then you're able to make a decision whether you should proceed or how you should proceed with that individual, right? I mean, if they're unable to communicate, would you want to spend 5 years with someone who's unable to communicate? Do you want to have children with someone who's unable to communicate? Like, how do you then make those choices?
you see what established 1978 say?
But
Mm-mm.
Dr. Elisa took the words right out of my mouth. Establish your rules.
And a lot of times we don't do that. Like, right now, where it's like, even when you get into a relationship, and then if right now is within that period of time saying, like, what is a reasonable time before we dating? If somebody's dating, what is a reasonable amount of time do we feel that we should take it to the next level? 6 months, a year, 2 years. See, those are things that people have to talk about. Like, what is we like right now is okay, cool. What are we doing here? Are we going to because once you feel this person, I think you should be able to fill a person out within 6 months. I could be wrong.
Oh, I think it's sooner, but we
Okay.
often talk ourselves out out of it because we're conscious of our own flaws. So as a result, we understand the flaws in others, and we often make compromise around that because we're looking at our flaws and saying, well, the nerve of us to, right, judge someone else or push
We know
someone
that
aside,
we're the
right,
same.
when I have my own. But see, that's the problem, because understanding your own flaws is one thing, but there's another thing to internalize them as being deficits, and so which then decreases your self-esteem, so you're willing to accept anything. Flaws, we all have them. The issue is, what is it that you know your mind, body, and soul can tolerate? What is a deal breaker? If you're clear about what is a deal breaker, what you are unable to accept, then you're able to move forward in a different way. But if you already have deduced yourself to believing that because I have flaws, because I'm imperfect, because I'm not good enough, I need to accept domestic violence. I need to accept someone who doesn't communicate. I need to accept someone who doesn't provide financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually for me, then that's what you're going to attract. And that's what you're going to end up with.
I mean, and I know that in firsthand. I forgot what through life experience of I thought that certain things were okay, especially being in relationships. I thought that being a survivor of domestic violence was okay. Because you love this man so much, and you're like, okay, cool. If he beats me one day, it'll be all right. Comes home drunk, beats you another day, and that's okay. He's gonna change. Those are habits that never changes. And because of the acceptance, and then you look at yourself, well, you start to look at yourself like, well, I have these flaws, and I have to accept his flaws. And sometimes you're like, no, certain things are just not okay.
Yeah, no, and it's okay to tell people that. And it's what's also beautiful is that people are also eager to please, and they're also open to learn depending on the individual. So Glaze always says, I'm in a different place now. So what does that mean? That means he either accepted something that he needed to change in order to make this situation more tolerable for the two of them, or he's matured in a way to say, yes, in order for me to keep this woman and to keep some consistency in my life, I need to really do a lot of self-reflection. And I think if women are strong enough and present a certain level of strength, men who are deserving will be willing to at least hear them out and make certain adjustments to their character and to how they deal and manage that woman.
And you're right. Like to me, it's about the ability to adapt. A
Hmm.
lot of times you get caught up into my way or no way, or my way or the highway. And once again, that is so backwards. It's like, to me, I think some of us as young boys growing up to be young man into grown man, we don't know what a real relationship consists of. Sometimes you think but then again, you really don't know. Like, it took me to go away doing time, and I was married, and I'm in jail talking to some of these old timers, and they talk about the things that they did with their wife and family, going away on quality vacation. I'm scratching
Mm.
my head. Like, to me, because I was too busy in the street, I'd rather hang out with the guys. And whatever you think you was doing, that hustling, that fast life, you feel because you spend money, you give money, or you pay for certain things, you think you're doing something. But I forgot who was that hip hop artist, whether who was it, Dougie, or you ain't really doing nothing, because you think you giving somebody money that mean more than anything. No, man, time, quality time,
That's
communication.
even for your children.
Yeah.
Like we think child support,
Yeah,
right?
people
Substitutes for the
men
time that you
think
spend with
because
your
they're
children.
in a situation, and men sometimes think because they have the money and they can provide for you, that doesn't mean nothing. Some women don't even want that. Someone wants to come home that you're able to sit and like, hey, like you got some flowers, or hey, let's go out and have some dinner. And then just because, here's $5,000, here's $2,000, here's $3,000, and do this. And, you go on a shopping spree, and, at the end of the day, you come home, the person you love is not even home. He's outside in the streets doing whatever the hell he wants. Yeah. And then you live an empty life.
Well, people will say, if you want a rich man, you have to, I've heard this before, when you're dating or you're married to a man with means, that means that you need to understand that you need to share him with the world because he's working so much, right? Like that is almost like one of the requirements when a man is working all the time. Like, okay, you need to share him. And that, I feel, that is very toxic because life is extremely short, and finding quality time to spend with the loved ones that will be there for you in sickness and in health, I think is an important priority that we as a people need to start to really take seriously. Because I think if COVID hasn't taught us anything, life is extremely short. You're here today and gone tomorrow, just that quickly. And the suffering associated with dying and being alone in that process, it has to be the worst feeling ever, having no one there for you. And so I'm very concerned about like people of color and the fact that 70 to 80% of our households are headed by single women. And the hope is that we're able to come together in a way that is healthy and hopeful. And we really start to take this as a job. Like being in a relationship is developing the skills, knowing your value add, knowing where you need development, additional development, and working through that together. Because trust me, when you have that together, that love, that passion, those resources, and all of the things that go into that, you really have a good thing.
And I like that because once again, like since we got back in contact with one another, and like some of the conversation that we done had, and the different things that we can bounce off of one another, it's like deep. And listen, I want everybody to understand this. I don't care what anybody say. You always got to have somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to, that going to tell you when you're right, tell you when you're wrong. The worst thing you could have is people that's going to be yes. Only thing gonna tell you, they're not gonna tell you the truth. You don't need you don't need no followers. You need leaders. You need somebody like right now. She'll tell me, I don't believe you. What you mean? But that's what you need. You need people that's gonna look in your eye, tell you like it is. You know what? You was wrong for that. Because when you don't have people to tell you that, then guess what? You thinking you right with your BS. They know you wrong, but they just egging you on. Something that you brought out, what I thought was huge. And like right now, like me and you can go on, but something that you say, why do good girls like bad boys?
Oh. We all have some experience with that. But you tell us first, and then we'll from the female perspective, we'll tell you what we think. We'll tell you what we think.
You know what? Put it like this, right? And like a lot of times, like people ask me, like, how did I get caught up into some of the things I got caught up to when I was younger? And back then, even being like, 14, 15 years old, and, they was handing out summer jobs. And whereas, guess what? Some people in your neighborhood in the project, they was getting summer jobs. So when they got their summer jobs, what they do? They go shopping. They get the latest gear. Right now, guys getting the latest gear because who they trying to do? They try to impress the girls. Girls getting the latest gear because they try to impress the guys. So being that, they telling me that I couldn't get a summer job because my mother made too much money. I live in a project. So how can my mother make too much money? So you know what? You got into that nonsense that, man, later for that, you ain't gonna be looking better than me. So you go out there, opposed to me, try to be creative And you know what? Let me go sling some newspaper. Let me go carry some bag. Let me find my own legit hustle. You start participating with the illegal activity, robbing, stealing, burglarizing to get some fast money because you trying to please somebody else. I want to look good. So once again, once you get that little bootleg reputation, and these like, you know, I remember girls I wouldn't even give me the time of the day. But because I had a little bootleg reputation, it's like, man, like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened here? I remember one girl when I came home from doing 3.5 years, and I saw her a couple of times and I tried to speak to her, and she's like, you know, ignore me. And I said, you know what? By the way, my name is Glaze. Then her whole shit changed. What? I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. And I'm gonna take it deeper than that. When I was away, after I got into all that trouble, and I was talking to this well-respected young lady, and to me, I said, look, why don't you just go ahead and move on? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? I said, why don't you go get you a square? You know, she said, I'm not attracted to square. I'm like, huh? I said, so hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me if I was a regular 9-to-5 guy, you wouldn't be attracted to me? No, you different. What's so different about that? You just say you're not attracted to square. So that's what I'm saying. I think we as a society, as people, got it all twisted. So once again, we are thinking that, guess what? Wrong is right and right is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Dr. Lisa?
Why would you start with me? Well, you know, I mean, I would say that when I was, you know, involved with someone who was, you know, I learned that was really involved in certain aspects of, you know, life, that it wasn't really a choice based on that. It was a choice based on how the person treated me, how the person respected me, how the person treated my family, how the person supported me, how the person protected me. So it wasn't about them being a bad boy per se. I think it had more to do with me being very aware based on having like a dad, you know, and a mom in my family. I grew up in that space, that I wanted someone who would protect me and guide me in the right direction. So what they happen to do in their life as a career, talking about really, really young at this point, um, I wasn't really aware of that at that point. I was really just focused on how I felt as a woman. So it wasn't an intentional process to just say, oh, I'm going to go, you know, pursue men who are selling drugs or doing this or doing that. No, that wasn't bad boys, quote unquote. And I honestly don't think that bad boys are really that attractive. Honestly, I don't find, like, if particularly if you're looking at like the bad boys today, I don't even know how you define a bad boy today. I define, like back in the days, you defined a bad boy. I guess Glaze would have been considered a bad boy, although I told him I think he was like a lame. I'm just being, I'm just being funny jokes.
Oh my God.
You know, but yeah, Glaze was definitely a bad boy. But yeah, I didn't want to live my life afraid or looking over my shoulder or feeling anxiety or fear. And although we didn't have really much fear because we didn't have a really good understanding being young of what life and death was really about, that wouldn't necessarily have been attracted to me. And back in the days, guys didn't like flaunt their bad boyness, if that makes sense to you. Like they actually dressed quite cool, like conserved. They weren't like sagging or, you know, in pictures with big lots of money or anything like that. They just weren't doing that. Yeah, it was a different vibe back then. Yeah. What about you, Diana? You're more of the recent. You're more of like the 2000s. How did you get involved with bad boys? You can give us like
It only took one to ruin my life.
one bad boy.
One
Only one? Let me, that was, I just would say, I know, okay, I stand corrected. Many bad boys were attracted to you, but you had only really, okay, gotcha.
And the only thing, the way it happened was, my ex, of course,
We can't hear you, Zizi.
the only way it happened was, my ex, he was an athlete, and, I was attracted, to tall, like handsome men. I am 5'7", and, my family is also pretty tall. I was always, into, sports and stuff. And then, that one, my ex, I was like scarred. I was like, I can't deal with this. And then it just took that one guy. He looked like he was so nice, and and he lied to me, and apparently he was in the streets. And and after that, I was like, oh, never again. But at that, at that time, sometimes you feel like a sense of security, and a sense of, but still to say, you think like, you're in a sense of security. um that at the end of the day, if stability is what I'm trying to
Which
get
is
to.
what something all women want, right?
The
They all
stability.
desire, right?
But we all do know that it only goes two ways. It's either, you're going to jail, or you're gonna wind up dead.
That's
So
right.
as women, you have to sit here and think, who you getting involved with. Like, do you want to sit here and at the end of the day, like, you're gonna look at his his funeral home, like, or at his casket, or you're gonna wind up
Right.
putting him at a jail cell. So some things that as a woman, you need to, you have to pick your battles.
Mm, mm.
You know what? I'm listening to both of y'all, and I want to shine in as far as like when, like even right now, like growing up, and when you reach a certain level in your life, and you still have that criminal mentality, like the whole approach start changing, because even my dress attire start changing. That you would, if you see me back then, I used to be like traveling a lot, like, on the plane, going to visit Fat Cat in Attica. So I used to be in first class going to Buffalo, New York from JFK at LaGuardia Airport. So sometimes when you see somebody like in a two-piece suit or dressed a certain way. So even with that being said, like when you come at somebody, you meet somebody, first of all, back then you couldn't tell who was who and what was what. So
Right.
even your situation, doctor, it's like here it is, like with that. This gentleman was like okay in the street, but when he's around you and what he's seen, because we look for prize, we look for winner, we look for that wife, we look for that. This is mine. This is my trophy wife. So despite we're in the street, and despite most of the time you try to keep people away or keep them out of that business that what you into. And see, for the most part, unless you're around me daily, you won't really know what I'm into.
Right.
Because it's not like you bringing it. It's not like you're gonna when somebody around me. You know what? It wasn't about you gonna see all the money, all the drugs, all the guns. All that was separate.
Mm-hmm.
Only way you really around me, you see all that, use the guys. You ain't gonna be my wife or my girl and see all that. So a lot of times, like you right now, where it's like to me, I had a reputation, but I try to keep like people that I love, especially like wife or girlfriend, away from that negativity. So with ladies, what guys seeing y'all attractive women that's about something that's about class, grace, and style, you know what? We're gonna put on our best behavior and come at you like we a quiet boy. Nah, we gonna come at you like my man Wesley Snipes. And what's that movie he was playing in? What was it? Man, Sugar Hill. Y'all remember that movie Sugar Hill? Y'all remember Sugar Hill? So Sugar
Mm.
Hill, he was like the perfect gentleman. He was a gangster, but he was you couldn't tell because
Oh yeah, okay.
he was
I
like
mean, like, I look at that was similar to it was, oh gosh, it was one with Denzel Washington, about American Gangster. He was a gentleman too,
yeah,
right? Like how
in the
he
suit
treated
and
his
tie and
woman
everything
and
like
all
that.
of
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And that
see,
was pretty much like how it was in the 80s and 90s. Like men didn't wear sagging pants and young guys, if you look at all of the old photos, even when you're thinking about like Supreme and the guys that you hung out with, right? fat cat. I mean, from the pictures that I've seen of them, they've always been dressed like they were going to some kind of corporate job or something. I mean, other than like the jewelry, which was like a sign of that time, like purchase, like all of that gaudy jewelry. Once they took that off, it wasn't that. Yeah, they didn't really present that way. So it's a different time. Like what you see today, like you have 40-year-old men like dressing like, I don't know, like some of the kids I see in the schools, So I don't know. It's hard to tell. So, and I don't know if they do that because that's the standard now and times have changed and it is what it is and that kind of thing. But I think that women are beautiful and valuable and deserving of someone who is going to respect and honor them and going to walk side by side with them with a level of passion and purpose, and protection. So yeah, it's something about like how you present to me is extremely important. Like that would be important to me if I was in, that the dating scene. I would be looking for someone to be doing to present that way to me. Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Special K. I put a picture up there. Been very supportive since I started my platform. Anytime when I get off track or start talking about negativity, or it was a time that me and my brother was going at it online, and she like came in, look, So that's the difference. You need somebody that's gonna come to you, and when they make a presentation, look, that's not right.
Good
That's
for
what you
her.
need.
Thank you. We love you, Miss K.
Good
keep these
people.
keep these brothers in check because that's what they need. Women who are going to say to them, nope, that's not attractive. I'm sorry, that's not it. that is not it. But we're up against a lot now. Like I always say, we have social media now, and the way that certain images are being pushed on, us as citizens of America. It looks different in other countries, but the agenda that's being sort of pushed on us from a psychological standpoint is that of, pretty much oppression, vulgar, violent, lack of self control, lack of self confidence, lack of self worth. So that we're being fed that, and so I think what's happening now, unfortunately, we don't understand the power of psychological warfare, and I believe that because we're being fed that, young women don't know what should be the standard for a healthy relationship. And if you look at women that are older, so Diana has always been, sort of around me and other women. So she knows there's a standard, there's a way that you should carry yourself and how you should be treated. So she's had those role models, but you have a lot of young girls and, the sister that was just Miss K, there's women out there that are role models, but how about the women that were coming up with DR and even younger than DR that don't have those role models? What do you do for them? Like they're not even seeing healthy relationships in their home. So what does that look like in the home? Like, how do you create a peaceful environment? Are you guys working together to grow your own vegetable? Like these things to me are important. I know it sounds so like it sounds so up somewhere out there, but how you feed your family is how you grow your family. How you pray with your family is how you spiritually ground your family. Like those things are important, and to create that sense of peace in your home is extremely important. You cannot have chaos and toxicity all the time.
Wow. You know what? Look at that, and see, Ms. DR, you are blessed in so many different ways. Because once again, like a lot of people don't have mentors. So here it is, like you had your aunt, I'm saying, your moms, your father, not only that, your grandmother. You had different people that was there that, you know what, like, and to me, when I see a young lady that's sharp, like, the way she carries herself, the way she dressed or whatever, I'd be amazed by that. And I go ask them, like, what, where you carry yourself, where you get that from? Because I want them to tell me, like, in these days and time, we don't, you got plenty of things. Like now you got social media. A lot of people, what they do is they watch other people, like, like for example, look how huge, or look what happened with the Kardashian. A lot of people want to live through them. I don't agree with that, but then that's an option. But when you got homemade, when you got you watch, like my mom, my auntie, like my
Yeah,
you can take notes or whatever,
yeah.
and
But
that's what.
it's a crazy thing though, because even though I did have that one thing, even like fighting through, like I did lose myself along the way. You know,
Are
even
you
though I
are you
did,
talking in the mic, Diana?
sorry, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
said that, even I did have all these mentors in my life. I had a great foundation family home. I had Kay Slay around me. I had, of course, Dr. Elisa. I still, always wanted to experiment life. What people don't know most, like I grew up very sheltered. So growing up as a sheltered woman, where, your father will always pick you up from school, your mother will pick you up from school. You can't do this, you can't do that. You decide once you're a certain age, you want to leave and you want to explore. And no matter what anyone tells you, until you don't hit those hurdles, it won't change. And you can ask Dr. Lisa that I went through a mental breakdown, and I during those mental like breakdowns, like I forgot my self worth, I forgot my beauty, I forgot how smart I am, I forgot about myself, I being suicidal twice, like, and it's times like that. It's just like you for I forgot the value I am as a woman
Oh,
at a point in my life that I started to accept whatever that any man will tell me because I wanted that love. And when you start looking for that love that you think that is right, it's not right. You start accepting verbal abuse. You start accepting domestic violence. You start accepting anything that comes your way, but you think that it's okay. And it did take some time to realize, and I'm still learning until now because I still make my mistakes. And then now, like I'm in a chapter in my life that I'm already past my 30s. I'm like, this cannot continue. Because at the end of the day, like there's a reason why I always make the same mistakes. There has to be a reason, you know, why I keep doing this. And I always do this. I always wind up in the same, to predict in the same relationship with the same men. So it's like it took some time. And even though I did have those wonderful people around me, until I didn't realize it myself and understand that what they were telling me is where, I got to a point like, you know what, they're right.
mm.
You know what? But see, the blessing part about that is you was able to, like, reflect, and you was able to, like, get it together. Sometime right now where it's like my mother used to always tell me something, and a lot of times my mother say things that I didn't quite understand when I was younger. One of the things particularly she's always say, never dwell off a situation that you have absolutely no control over. So to me, like, as a kid, what the heck did that mean? But as you get older, you understand. So even with some of the things that you was going through and some of the things you was able to go back into and utilize to help you get out of that darkness, help you get out of that place that you was in. Because once again, knowing that you wasn't alone and knowing that right now what your self-worth is, nobody can't tell you what your self-worth. Only person can tell you what your worth is you, and that's the difference. So even right now, from my brief conversation and the time that I'm listening to the words that come out of your mouth and watching the way that you conduct yourself, right now is you listen, you are in a great place. And right now is, guess what? The future is yours. So once again, that's all you got to do. Continue to believe in that. Stay prayer up. No prayer, no power. Less prayer, less power. More prayer, more power. Much prayer, much power. Because that's it. It's like right now, when you look at you, when you at in your life, you kidding me? You got the whole world in your hands.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Glaze. That was beautifully said. And I think it was important for her to hear it from a male perspective because I think that's what we all need. And that's what I had when we were coming up. I had all of you to always like tell me like, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Like, yeah, right. Like, please go somewhere and sit down, go to school, like, it was never like, yeah, yeah, hang out, go to that party. Like, let's do that. Like, no, you was, there was always someone there to be the guide in our community. And so, yeah, and men, we do need men in our community. So I'm happy that you were able to tell her that, but I know that she knows that she is good enough. And I know she knows that she is a value and she's a prize. And although you may kiss a lot of frogs, one day you will find your prince. And, you've been, engaged, you've been all of that. And the person demonstrated certain behaviors and characteristics that you were unable to take on for a long-term sort of commitment. But just because it feels like it's taking forever, it's just God's way of sparing you the pain
And even
of
right
a bad
now,
decision.
what
Even
we
that,
have,
sometimes I there's even through like all the hurdles and everything, there's sometimes like I've met great men in my life, and just because
You have.
I've been so traumatized of,
I've approved for of at least two.
I was so damaged that I'll take that anger from this anger and then just keep carrying it on, and then you know then you regret like, why did I lose this person? But it's because of what someone else did, and then it's like, and it's like, you're like a layer, and that layer starts once you become a woman. The first person you love, let's say your high school sweetheart or your whoever you was with first, that layer is
Mhm.
ripped from you. Then you carry that on. The
Yep.
next layer ripped it off. The next layer, another, rip. And then it's like you always carry all these little things with you, and it always gives you like flashbacks of why you don't want to be with this person, and then it just becomes like a backlash.
Is that's a good point you make, Diana. The experience with your first love, because I always feel like my experience with my first love was sort of how I set the standard for future relationships. Was the first love more of a toxic situation? So it sort of set the standard for kind of how you pursued relationships moving forward. You and I never really, I mean, I don't know if
No,
you
my
talked
first
about.
love was actually beautiful.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but the only thing is that my parents didn't approve of it. So it just came, you know, into a family situation.
Yeah.
My father wanted me to stay focused and
Right.
for
Right.
college, and me
So
sneaking around and trying to see him, and it just didn't.
trust me. I know the feeling. I was sharing with
We were
Glaze.
on his way
Dad,
to the dining table,
Grace
talking
beat
about,
me.
so why were you been tired to go to school in the morning? I'm sneaking out of my house.
It's true. You try to sneak out to see them because you love them so much. You
So,
love
you, you see the message for you, Ms. Dr. You see the message?
sis, you're beautiful. Wipe your tears. God got you. Oh, thank you.
Oh, Miss Faye.
That's what I tell you with Special K. She be like, and that's the difference. You need real people that basically educated. Like she grew up in New York. Basically right now is married, beautiful family, and some of the
Oh,
things that we're able to talk about. That's what it's all about, folks. Like when you got good people, you know what? Like you're not alone. And we don't
mhm,
want anybody to think out there that they are alone. That's why we got these platforms. And like I said, we'll be going on each other platform building. Right now it's all about how do we uplift each other? How do see people don't understand. You ever been in a situation that everything was totally bleak, like total darkness, like you think it's the end of the world? People do not understand that. Only thing right now, when there's a situation like that, only thing you want to do is lay down and die. But once again, what keeping you going? I done been there. I know how it is. When I was facing forever and a day in this cold, dark cell, thinking it was over, thinking I was, but guess what? That's what man say. That ain't what God say. So it doesn't matter. He only puts what's on you that you can handle. And once you overcome the obstacle, the stronger you're going to become. You're going to become a better version of you. And you know what you're going to be able to do? You're going to be a better teacher, because then you can teach these young ladies how to be women. You know what I'm saying? You're going to teach them. Look at the compliment y'all getting, how natural, beautiful you are with your hair, makeup, no nothing or whatever. That's the things that I like. And those are things, like I said, I want to get into and let people know it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I think I want to share or just leave young women or all women who are looking for love, looking for protection, looking for guidance, seeking companionship, seeking to feel whole, because when you're in a single situation, you feel when you add someone to that singular process, it somehow makes you whole. No, it doesn't necessarily make you whole at all. You're whole as the person you are in your individual self. That person comes in to hopefully expand that wholeness, grow that wholeness, preserve it, nurture it, care for it, respect it, right? And so until you can feel that, do not look at the media. Do not allow social media or any other media or what your friends are doing force you into making decisions that are going to perhaps cost you for the rest of your life. Hold on to your self love, your self worth. And this is not about what, people say, oh, if you're single, you're not worth anything. If you're this, you're not that. Don't listen to I call them, and I hate to use this word, but don't listen to the haters. Hurt people hurt people. And if that's how they define themselves, by some toxic, dysfunctional, lack of support, lack of guidance, nothing is growing kind of relationship, allow them to live in that space. I can tell you, as someone who has worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of people around this very topic, it never winds up good for people who settle for less. It really never winds up good. Someone suffers in that, and it's usually the person who made the compromise. Work together, take your time. If you're dating, what's wrong with courtship? What's wrong with getting to know people? What's wrong with asking people for their health records? Don't you want to know what they have? Are you willing to be go unprotected with someone and not really know their status, whether they have herpes, whether they have HIV, so that you can prepare yourself both physically and mentally for that health experience? How if you have a child? What do you tell your OBGYN that you have these things so they can protect the child from being born with those diseases? Like, there's so much that goes into partnership. And until we can have that communication, that drive to want to be the best we can be and love ourselves, then I can tell you, I think there is something. The world has done a good job with women of color of making us feel that we're never good enough and that we're not valued. But don't believe the hype. You are good enough, and you are valued, and you stand strong. And trust me, men will follow. They really are looking for someone who can support them and guide them and be a strength to them. But if we don't set the tone, they will fall right into whatever you accept. Because why work for something when you can actually just do the bare minimum? You're not expecting anything from them. And in fact, men get very bored with things like that. They're actually very bored by that. After a while, it becomes like, this is all that it is. This is all that is offered in this situation. And they find someone else who is just as unmotivated, unfocused, and the cycle continues. So, yes, for the sake of yourself, for the sake of your children that are here and to come, make good choices. Don't say, oh, it's just only two men out here. Well, maybe you need to widen your pool. It's plenty of men in the world. It's 9 billion people in the world. Maybe you're only reducing yourself to your local area, your circumference. Maybe you need to look beyond that. Anyway, that's my point.
You know what? We cover a lot within a short period of time.
Mhm.
And to me, like I told you, it's like it's deep. And some of the things we was talking about too, as far as like relationship, relationship is hard. Whatever you put into it, that's what you're gonna get out of it. But what we have to do is we have to know like our standards, like with jobs. And I think we talked about it the other day. Whereas right now is, you got 90 days to see if this is gonna work. Like we got 90 days, like to see, like right now, okay, cool. If we dating for 90 days, where we going at? Right now is, did you earn, like I say, full-time privilege? Or, you know what, listen, this is not going to work. So that's why, like I'm talking about relationship, man, don't waste people's time.
Mm-mm.
Be true and honest in your approach. And like to me, if I'm gonna give somebody the best seat in my house, that means they earned it. They deserve it. That means we got the best seat in each other's heart.
That's right. That is the best seat.
And it don't get no deeper than that. Because right now we got to know that we all in. This is you, like this is us. This is me and you. This is us. Like right now, like Run DMC together forever, tougher than leather.
One thing I do miss is, I grew up, my parents are still married for now 45 years.
I can't hear you, Diana.
That one thing I do miss is, my parents have been married till this day, 45 years, they're still married. And, I always wanted a relationship like that. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, men tend to give up. Women tend to give up on a relationship. Back then, if there was an argument, either I'll find my father, go to sleep on the couch, my mom in the room, we talk about it tomorrow, let's figure it out. If they're going through financial situations, they'll figure it out. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked all, throughout the years. And then once she raised me and my brother, he bought her a business. And then they started running businesses together.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, I feel like everyone, they see the good in you and they stay with you during the good. But once they see the bad in you, it's like they're so quick to run and leave you. And it's like, why? Like, why? If you really say that you love someone, is that really love?
A lot of times how people deal with adversity, anybody can say I love you and they there for you when the going is good. But what happened when it's bad? See, and that's the difference. To me, I don't need no fair weather friend. I don't need no fair weather relationship. I want it all or nothing. Because once again, I play for keep. So whatever I put into it, you know what? Guess what? You're gonna feel like this man is sincere in his approach. So like how sometimes, like I told you, I had a serious problem. I had a serious addiction problem. And that was, I was addicted to the penitentiary because every time I got out, I was going back in. I stayed out for a little while, then I kept going back. Then one time in particular, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So right now, when I got released, July 28th, 1997, I made a vow. And I said, guess what? I ain't going back. And you know what? Here it is. And a week from the day, it'd be 25 years that I didn't go back. Mm-hmm. So once again, like you say, whatever you put in something, that's what you're going to get out of it. That's the same thing with relationship. Like to me, if you want something to work, oh, wait, you can't run. You know what I'm saying? You get, I'm not running from it. I'm running to it. What we going to do, like Omar Epps said on the Breakfast Club, mm-hmm. When him and his wife got together, listen, when we say I do, ain't going to be no I don't. Ain't gonna be able to go and get rough or something go bad or whatever. Or you know what? You don't look as good as you used to look. I don't look as good as I look. We start losing our hair and our teeth and all that. You had me for the good, the bad, the ugly, man. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about? Come here, honey. Give me some of that sugar. Give me some of that sugar.
Come here, girl. Give me some of that
Give
me some of that sugar.
Come here, girl.
Come here, girl. Come here, God.
Come here, boo thing.
Come here. Come here.
I remember
I think you said
that before.
I think you raise a really good point. I think, but if we don't get to know one another, we won't really know whether or not this is a person we want to be in it until the end, you know? So the first step is getting to know people, you know, like you said, that 90 days, you know, understanding who these people are, what's your goals, what's your aspirations, you know, what do you want children or do you want to live in, you know, Portugal, or do you want to live in, you know, Atlanta? Like what exactly is your dream, and how can we kind of dream together? Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop exposing each other to new things and new adventures. But you got to get to know people. You got to know whether or not that's something they're into.
you
Actually,
know,
that's that topic he brought up. He said men tend to give out question mark, question mark. 80% of divorces are initiated by women.
Hmm.
Interesting. I
Oh,
wonder why.
okay. Okay. I totally, is that Hugh? Oh, Hugh. You know, here you come with the data. Love him. He has the receipts. He's like the inside. He has receipts, right? Okay, we love you for that.
Google 80% of
He's
women.
absolutely right. I'm going to, you know how I would probably qualify that? I would probably say, yeah, I would say that's true, partly because I believe that women often give numerous chances before they make that final decision. But when they make that final decision, it's usually final. Like they really, women want the security. Women want to be in sort of a monogamous situation for the most part. They do want the picket fence. They do want to be able to, you know, prepare meals and do things and grow together and build together. But and I do think there's a lot of forgiveness before someone actually makes that step, because divorce isn't easy. Ask anyone who's been through the process. It is not easy. It's the most painful thing you ever will experience in terms of separating from a partner. And so, yeah, particularly if there's property involved and children involved and business involved and things like that. I mean, we know that from looking at Dr. Dre and other high profile divorces. You know, Tony Braxton shared that one time when they were talking about whether or not she would marry Birdman, and I think Birdman actually thinking about like a bad boy. I think Birdman is actually, I actually see a lot of good in Birdman, and she mentioned that too. She said there's so many good things about him, but you know, marriage, she's almost afraid because of the painful divorce she went through. But you know, Birdman, according to her, he only has two children by his childhood sweetheart. He doesn't have children all over the place. He doesn't, you know, he's not addicted to drugs. He's not, you know, he was very supportive of her family and her mom, and helping. Like he brought so many strengths to that and made her feel protected, and has been her friend for many years. And so, you know, to go through that again when you've established such a close friendship with someone, it is scary. If I get married, will it lead in divorce? Like, we've been friends and doing so well for so long. Why should I get married now? You know what I mean? So there is a lot to be said about that. But I do think that women make that final decision, because I don't think men always feel like you can fix it. Like, it's not that serious. Whatever the issue is, it's not that serious. You don't need to get a divorce. Why? It was just like sex with three other women. It wasn't like a big deal. I didn't really like them. I really love you. I really love you. You know, so why would you just give up on all of this just for those people? And you know, we're like, but my heart hurts. You hurt me because I love you. The thought of you being with someone else just drives me crazy, and that trust is broken, right? The loyalty is broken. All of the things that you set up in your head about the person that knows everything about you, it feels like it's been compromised because you've shared yourself with someone else. So yeah, I do think that women will pull the trigger in terms of divorce, and that number is high, but I think the rate of forgiveness isn't taken into account in terms of that number. Thank you, Hugh.
Here it is, special case say both parties have to fight for the relationship.
Fight like hell, that's for
And
sure.
and to me, I agree with that 1,000% because once again, like even right now with Vane, this young man say you have to keep the fire. You have to keep the fire. And it's a saying that I always say, if you see that fire is going out in that relationship, people want to throw wood on them. I'm not going to throw no wood on there. You know what I'm throwing in?
More fun.
Gasoline. No, you don't want throw some gasoline. Ooh, flame. Like See, and that's the difference because once again, whatever we put into it, that's what we're gonna have to get out of it now. And like even with that being said, like I told you, I love what we're doing. And I'm looking forward to continue to build on top of this. And that's the difference because everything is out. Like I want this to be out. Like even right now, I got 62,000 people. And right now is I got to put this up, guys. I got to put this up. And I got to give this person a shout out. This guy right here.
Hey, shout out to Critique. Hey, Critique.
Hey. I see you, studio. I am the person I am today on the social media based upon him.
Mm-hmm.
Right now is I'm probably like 5 years behind. When he reached out to me and told me what I need to be doing, I said, no, you need to be doing your own YouTube channel. No, you need to do this. You need to do this. No. This dude got me in connection and having conversation with folks talking about doing a 2-3 movie deal. So anybody can come along and tell you anything, but actions speak louder than words. So once again, I actually went, and met with some entertainment people based upon him. So he did everything he needed to do to get me there. But a lot of times when you're dealing with people that decision maker or whatever, it's like in order for them to pull the trigger on a deal, nobody want to be a failure. So a lot of people want to invest into the project, but they want to know their returns. So everybody want to, I want to do this, but what if I fail? It's no different in a relationship. What if I take that chance and it don't work out? What if it's I do a 2-3 movie deal with this guy and it's not a blockbuster? It's flop. Then my name, my reputation is on this. So once again, like I said right now, where it's like, to me, like with Critique, hey, I love that brother. Like I say, he helped me in so many different ways. Like even now, when we had a big fallout, and I can be a very we had a big fallout, and you know what happened as time went on, and I got in contact. Me and somebody else, like we kept in contact, and I met him through Critique, and I said, you know what, man, next time I talk to Critique, I got to tell him I was wrong. And you know what? Instead of me pick up the phone and try to reach out to him, I still didn't do that. So finally, he wanted to reach out to me. And you know what? I had to tell him, you know what? You was right. I was wrong. And see, that's the difference in relation. Look, these two guys, two men, we not in no damn relationship. But
no, it's a different kind of relationship. And I agree with Critique. All relationships are hard, but it's funny how when we are upset at our jobs, we will let all sorts of things slide because we feel there's some kind of gain, my salary, my benefits, whatever, my pension. But at home, it's kind of like the tolerance level is almost zero, but your tolerance for certain types of antics, at work is much higher because the value we place on that job versus our human interactions is by far not necessarily aligned. So I get what he's saying. It's totally all relationships. And so we have been able to self-regulate when we're in, some kind of work environment or if we come across certain people, right? But when you get home with your partner, it's like ignoring them, disrespectful, dismissive, all those things, that this is the person that's there protecting, loving, and supporting you.
Hey, let me add to that. You see what you're saying as far as when you get home. So even though right now when I get home, automatically I knew what my commitment was. My commitment was say we had something to go at 6. So as soon as I get home, she cutting the grass. So right now, even when I end this, I gotta go outside and do some yard duty. So it doesn't matter. So it's like right now, understanding your understanding your position, understanding the do's and the don'ts, understanding right now, and see, we came a long way because she know what this mean to me and what I'm trying to do. So before it'd be like, oh well, no, like hold up, you know what I'm trying to do. And see, that's another thing too, is right now communication is very, very important. When you're in that relationship, y'all got to be communicating about. It's best to over communicate than under communicate. And even with this, like social media, or if you got a platform, you try and do different things, you got to let the whole up, babe, listen, hun, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm trying to do. And right now, with some time, it's going to take time away from us. But then again, guess what? You know what I'm going to do? When you at work, I'm home, I'll work on this. But when we come together, I'll put that to the side. It's all about a compromise and find a happy medium. Or even right now is, guess what? Some of the things I used to do is if she sleep, I'm doing certain things, God, because it's not interfering with our time. You got to know how to budget that, manage that. Otherwise, this can be very time consuming and you can have a lot of problems.
Right. No, totally. It's crazy. 80% of all illnesses are attributed to stress. And we don't necessarily take that serious. And, I've known several people like in their 30s and 40s who've just dropped dead of heart attacks. And so we can say, yeah, it was due to their diet, it may be hereditary issue and all that kind of stuff. But you also know that people are dealing with high levels of stress. And then you get home and that situation is stressful, and because of economic circumstances you find yourself, quote unquote, I've heard this word often, stuck, because you don't know how to maneuver. How do you get enough money to even put a down payment on a new place? There's no one to move in with while you have a couple of children and they don't have enough room. Like there's so many factors. So we wind up staying in situations that are very unhealthy. And we don't want to look at the man or the woman as the fault in that. But we need to say this is unhealthy for the both of us. And let's work together to see how we can, move this along together, because we're both really in a deficit model right here. We don't have a lot of resources, but we did love each other or one another at one time. So because we've loved each other before, in order for both of us to live just another day, let's just help each other to separate from this. And this is why people, right? It's okay to have that conversation and say, I don't have enough money to move on my own with 2 children or to find my own place. And if you're in New York, we know that between the rent, the security deposit and the real estate fee, it's like $10,000 just to like the deposit, not mentioning, the moving and, setting up this and your internet and this and that, and getting whatever you need and establish it, it's just a lot, and so most of us aren't just sitting on $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 where we can just relocate. It's not that simple.
So you mean to tell me I was going to ask you after the show, for like a little helping hand. I know you holding.
Diana, he's talking to you.
No. Look, no. Hey, Diana, look, you see how she like, wait a minute, no, I saw you. Hey, look, we saw you with your own little limousine, coming to the show. Talking about, I'm talking, no.
Too funny. I am not paying you both any attention. As they say in the rap racket, proceed. Yes, indeed. Proceed. Yeah.
This is nice, guys. I really like enjoyed this conversation.
So, any closing remarks?
You know what? Yes, like people been asking right now is, hold up. Let me give. I'm gonna put IG handle. Hold up. Let me see something. You got to bear with me. Y'all can talk as I'm doing this.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Yeah. So, Diana, any thoughts, reflections, advice to an up and coming video vixen? You didn't really
I,
talk about
I
what
don't,
that's
I
like.
really don't talk about it anymore.
Hmm.
So I'm not a video vixen anymore. I'm an ex video vixen.
Right.
It comes to a point in time where you have to accept what you was, and you're not that person anymore. Um, I would like to say, always have backup. Go to school, do what you have to do, for yourself. Always one thing, keep your dignity.
Right.
Don't let no one take your dignity. Um,
Hmm.
it can't be ruthless, out there. Um,
Hmm.
be careful who you date. You know the person very well. Unfortunately, I was very naive enough that I did spend 2 weeks in Rikers and 2 weeks in Bergen County for something I didn't do.
Hmm.
And it just cost that one person. You think you know that person, and one thing that leads to another, you're caught up in something that you just have no clue. You know, that's for another topic. How many women are doing time for something.
Hmm.
You know, and then that's also too like it took a mental health toll on me. But besides that, um, yeah, learn how to self love yourself. That's really important. And I'm on a different journey now where I'm reading like there's a couple books out there too. Of course, my best friend is Dr. Elisa. Even though sometimes she yells at me half the time, but but I love her very much. But she has taught me. She's also a process of my growth and learning how to value myself. Value yourself as a woman. Know what you want and what you expect, like what you're expecting. In a man.
you know what? Even like, I'm glad that you made mention of that. Like some of the things you've been through, even being on Rikers Island for a couple of weeks in Bergen County, because even right now, certain things came across my screen, and I saw a negative comment towards certain things that I immediately blocked them. And why? Because once again, I'm like this. You're my people. So the bottom line is, like, let he or she who out sin cast the first stone. And a lot of
Hmm.
times, people like to jump the guns and jump to conclusion, and
Sad.
they what they don't know,
What's
because
wrong
once
with our community? This is exactly what we're talking about. Like the negative vibes, the negative energy. Like,
And
why would
social
you
media
put your
is
there's
one of the
social
biggest
media, and why would you put your life in that space? We're presenting like positivity. We're trying to impart, something that can be maybe a help to you. But people, for whatever reason, sometimes we live in just such a painful space in our own mind, and it's very difficult for people to get out of that. And so they've grown up hearing so many negative comments, maybe about themselves, their own family, that's the only thing that gives them joy, is to be able to criticize someone else. And it's okay if that's what they want to do. As long as they watch, it's fine. If they listen, it's fine. We
yeah.
wish them all well. We pray for them like we pray for ourselves, right? We pray for our people in general, because we're dying left and right, and very young. It was Pop Smoke. But it's like, I think his birthday was the other day. He would have only been 23
23.
years old. May he rest in peace. Um, we have a lot of work to do, and I pray for all of us. And if we have nothing good to say, that's okay. If
It is
don't say anything. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. But it's okay. It's fine. And no
Any
one's bashing anyone. I seen Hugh's little joke. He said, "Oh, male bashing. No, no. This is how you have conversation. And it's just sometimes a difference of opinion, and that's why you were born male, I was born female. And, it's just the difference of opinion and experiences based on the many people that I've encountered in my practice. and also, personal experiences and understanding, how many of the women in my life have, experienced their relationships, and they weren't women that bailed on their partner at all. Yeah.
I have your hand. I got your IG handle up there. I am what MIZZDR. You know, and just like I said, do you got YouTube page also?
I believe well, it's old. I haven't even been on there in forever. So I
Now,
gotta.
but just like anybody right now is what I'm gonna have the link as far as right now is for Ms. Diara and Dr. Elisa. I'm gonna have the link in the description box. So once again, like this is something that we agree that we'll be doing, and it's about right now is like how do we get back? And it's not about the negative, it's not about the nonsense. And we can get on here and have like we're gonna be mindful and respectful. And anybody coming into this platform, they have to do the same. Otherwise, guess what? I'll be more than gladly to block you because once again, it's not like I can't go there. I don't want to go there. This is not baby powder. No, this is not
You're
baby.
getting a divorce before you get married. You're like, I'm blocked. That's it. Here's the paperwork. Here's the paperwork.
Yeah.
And like Glaze, you and I have been really, talking a lot lately, and we've been able to get through some complicated conversations and try to find healing in that space. And I hope that we are modeling for people what it means to have really good conflict resolution and communication. So the way that I respond to you is the same way that I am in a relationship. It's all about the communication. It's all about asking the questions, and it's all about coming to terms and in peace with whatever the outcome is.
And look, we getting some positive feedback all night. Special K, good conversation, guys. Somebody else came along and say right now is he say this was a real conversation. Keep this type of content coming. Once
Thank
again,
you.
that's a not bashing. Sometimes the truth hurt. So
Miss Cage is saying she don't give a square no air. She's like, no, nobody. I love her. No, this is the truth hurts. Yep.
Heck on your boy.
Oh, Hugh, don't even. What is he saying there?
I use social media to learn more than actually socializing.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Now we're feeling that. Shout out.
Look. Then he come back with another one. He good.
What he said?
Difference of opinion is healthy, but fact and statistic cannot be debated. This was a good combo though. And thank you, man. But that's what it's all about. Anytime right now, like you said right now, we can get together, from when we can get together. And to me, I think it went great. And like even right now, I'm scheming. I got critique working on some stuff. I got
critique behind the scenes doing something. Hey,
because that's what it's all about. Because once again, taking it to that next level. Because like to me, like look what we was able to do. Nothing planned, nothing artificial, and we was able to me, I in my heart, my mind feel was great. Mm-hmm. Ladies, thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime you can have these kinds of conversations and they're healthy and they're strength-based and they're positive, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. And like the good thing is that God has spared all of us to be here post-COVID to continue to have these conversations.
Yeah. So
it's all good. It's all good.
So, like I said right now, is we will be discussing when will be the next one, how we plan on doing it, and the topic. If anybody have anything that they like for us to talk about, you got my email address. Email me, Brian Brian Gibbs Gibbs 1201 at yahoo.com. But ladies, thank you very much for joining me, for spending approximately 2 hours out of your life. See, now I gotta go out there and do some honeydews.
I gotta put on your little southern hat and
look, I'm good. I know what I gotta do. So
that's right.
After I finish doing that, shower time, getting ready for tomorrow, I start my workout again, so when you look,
I'm motivating him because I'm always like, I'm in the gym, I'm on my way to the gym, I'm going to the gym, I'm playing tennis, I'm in the dance studio, you know me, Diana.
Yeah. yoga, hot yoga,
Yoga, Pilates, gardening,
Yeah.
everything.
meditation.
So, ladies, tell everybody good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
All
everyone.
right. Hey, hold on, wait a minute. Here. Somebody gonna ask this already. What are y'all going to talk about next? To be determined.
To be
determined.
determined. Why don't you text us? Text us. Look. Why don't you email or DM us and let us know what you want to talk about?
Yeah, he know how to get in contact with me. All right. Hey, listen. Tell everybody good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night. Much love and respect.